So when I bought this thing, it came with a little Wheelie's 12-volt remote control, which powered two 360 motors, which are a little tiny thing, and it came with a 12-volt battery, 7 amp hour that lasted for days. Of course, you know, being a guy, had to upgrade that. So I put some 550 motors in there, which immediately burned up the Wheelie's remote control system. So it just couldn't handle the amperage of the larger motors. So what I did is I put an Arduino that powered, so this Arduino powers these Sidewinder 2, Sidewinder 3 ESCs, and there's one for each motor, which the motors are different. This is a cheapy 570 motor, and this is a Traxxas 21 turn 550 motor, which this 550 motor puts out more power than that one, but since it's an open differential, it doesn't really matter that they're different. As long as they're close to the same speed, it's not a big deal. So I have this new throttle pedal. The old one was just on and off. This one uses, it said Hall sensor when I bought it, but it's really just a potentiometer, which maybe they're the same thing, I don't know. So 3 wires out of here, there's a power and a ground, and then a variable voltage out. So I programmed the Arduino to sense that variable voltage, and it reads that, and it'll output that as a PWM signal that can power these sidewinders. So the signal to the sidewinder comes out from the Arduino. There's also a remote control sensor down here that runs my Spektrum RC car remote, and that also goes into the Arduino. Alright, so the way it's programmed is this Arduino is programmed that if the throttle signal from the RC receiver is in the neutral range, then it will check to see if you're pressing the throttle pedal. If you're pressing the throttle pedal, it'll check to see if we're in forward or reverse. So there's an override that if the throttle on the remote is being pressed, that this pedal basically doesn't really work. But that's only if you're hitting the throttle on the remote. There's also something in the Arduino program for the auxiliary channel that puts a governor on these motors, and by default I have it so when the car starts up it's at a 30% governor, so if she's driving it in the house she's not really just bashing into stuff. And if we go for a walk, I can just turn the governor up with the dial on the remote. Usually I don't go above 40 or 50 with, she's only 2 years old, so it doesn't need to go that fast. Mostly I did all this just so it would run a little bit better on the grass. And right now with these two motors, full throttle draws over the 7 amps that this lead acid battery is rated for, and it has a 7 amp relay on it that kicks off. But as long as she's limited to that 40% throttle, she doesn't really have a problem with it. Alright, so I have it set up with the 3S LiPo going through the bypass, so it's not running on the battery. Kid can still control it from the gas pedal. The key is kind of disabled right now, so the key basically just works with the lights when I'm on the LiPo battery. And because it goes through the ESCs, there's a throttle limiter or an acceleration limiter to save the gears, so you can see when I punch it, it doesn't really do burnouts. Well, I guess it still does burnouts a little bit, but let's see if I could drive this with one hand. I mean, it's pretty quick, you know, for 12 volts. Not sure why I would need a whole lot more than that. you know, but it's got steering with the remote. Kind of hard to do one-handed. Goes over the rocks, no problem, if it can get traction. Pretty fun. Pretty quick. Alright, thanks for watching.